There is a song you have played so many times this week you have lost count. The same one. On the walk to work, in the shower, the second the room goes quiet. People keep telling you that you are going to ruin it, that you will get sick of it. You will not. Because somehow it still does the thing it did the very first time, every single time. And you cannot really explain why this song, why now, why on a loop, until the words almost stop meaning anything. So let me tell you what is actually happening in there. Because it is stranger and gentler than it looks. Here is the reframe. Putting one song on repeat for days is not a quirk, and it is not you being obsessive. It is your mind reaching for a tool. The song itself is not the point. The feeling it is holding is. Today we are going to look at the psychology of people who listen to the same song on repeat, and why that loop is doing far more for you than it seems. Start with what it actually looks like. It is never the whole album. It is one track. You skip past 40 other songs to land on the same 3 minutes you have already heard 100 times. And the strange part is that other people find this a little unsettling. They reach for the aux cord. They say something like, "How are you not bored of this yet?" And you genuinely do not have an answer, because boredom is not the thing you feel. The song does not get smaller with each play. If anything, it gets bigger. There is a specific moment in it you are waiting for. Maybe it is a single line. Maybe it is the half-second of silence right before the chorus lands. Maybe it is just the way the second verse sits a little heavier than the first. You know it is coming. You have known for 100 plays. And knowing does not ruin it. Knowing is the whole reason you pressed repeat. Sound familiar? That is the first clue that something deeper is going on. Because with most things, repetition kills the spark. The joke stops being funny. The view out the window stops registering. But the song on repeat does not fade the same way. You are not consuming it. You are using it. And the difference between consuming something and using something is the whole difference here. So if you have ever felt a little embarrassed about the playlist that is just one song 40 times, stay with me. That loop is not a glitch in your taste. It is a system doing exactly what it was built to do. Let us start with why your brain does not get tired of it the way logic says it should. Because it really should, shouldn't it? Back in the late 1960s, a psychologist named Robert Zajonc described something called the mere exposure effect. The idea is simple. The more often you are exposed to something, the more you tend to like it, just from the familiarity alone. No reason needed. Your brain treats the familiar as safe, because for most of human history, the familiar was safe. The new thing in the bushes might eat you. The path you have walked 1,000 times will not. A song works the same way. The first time you hear it, your brain is busy. It is predicting. Where does this go? What comes next? Is this the chorus or a bridge? There is a low hum of mental work happening underneath the listening. But by the 40th play, all of that work is done. You know every turn before it arrives. And here is the part that matters. When your brain stops spending energy predicting the song, that energy has to go somewhere. It goes straight to the feeling. This is where the song on repeat quietly parts ways from the show you rewatch for comfort. The show is mostly about knowing how it ends. The song is about something softer. You are not playing Hang It to feel safe from surprise. You are playing it because once the surprise is gone, the emotion can finally come to the front of the room. The familiarity is not the destination. It is the door you have to walk through to reach what is underneath. Think about that for a second. You are not stuck on a loop because you lack imagination. You have built a space so predictable that the only thing left to notice is what you feel. The noise drops to almost nothing. And in that quiet, something you have been carrying gets a chance to finally be heard. But here is where it gets interesting. You would think a known reward would stop being rewarding. That is how most pleasures work. The second bite is never quite the first. And yet the chorus you have heard 100 times can still send a small shiver down your arms on play 101. Researchers at McGill University looked closely at what music does inside the brain, and they found something telling. Music triggers the release of dopamine, the same chemical tied to reward and craving. But a lot of that release happens not at the peak of the song, but in the seconds just before it. In the anticipation. Your brain knows the big moment is coming, and it starts rewarding you for the prediction before the moment even arrives. That is why repetition does not kill it. When you press repeat, you are not just replaying the payoff. You are replaying the build, the lean in, the held breath right before the line you love. You get to feel the wave swell, knowing exactly where it breaks, and your brain hands you a small hit of pleasure just for being right. So the loop is not really about hearing the song again. It is about feeling that specific rise again, the reach towards something, and the arrival. Over and over when so little of what you reach for actually arrives on schedule. And that starts to explain the timing, because you do not put a song on repeat at random. There is almost always a reason is that song, and that week. Which brings us to the part that explains everything. Think back to the last song that took over your life. Not just one you liked. One you needed. There was probably something underneath it. A person you could not stop thinking about. A version of yourself you were quietly grieving. A goodbye, a beginning, an ache you could not name out loud. The song did not create that feeling. The song matched it. And the moment a song matches what you are feeling, it stops being entertainment and becomes something closer to a container. You know that feeling, right? When a line lands and your throat tightens a little, and you are not even sure why. That is the song reaching a part of you that words have not been able to touch yet. Research on music and emotion keeps landing on the same idea. People do not only use music to change how they feel, they use it to stay with how they feel. When you are heavy, you often reach for the heavy song, not the cheerful one. And that seems backwards until you understand what it is doing. The matching song says, out loud, the thing you could not. It gives a shape to something formless. And a feeling that finally has a shape is a feeling you can actually move through. So you press repeat, and each time, you walk back into the same room. The room where that feeling lives. You stay in it for 3 minutes. Then you walk back in again. Not because you are trapped, but because some feelings are too big to finish in one pass. You loop the song the way you would circle a hard thought until it softens. You are metabolizing something. Quietly. In the only language that fits. And maybe that is why nobody else ever quite gets it. They hear the song, you hear the room. To them it is 3 minutes of audio on a loop. To you it is the one place a feeling is finally allowed to exist out loud, where you can sit beside it instead of swallowing it down. This is also why the spell eventually breaks. One day you put the song on, and it just sounds like a song again. The feeling has been processed. The room is empty now. You do not need to keep going back, because there is nothing left in there to feel. The loop did not end because you got bored. It ended because it worked. So let me say the thing you might need to hear. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not obsessive. You are not stuck. You are not the strange one who plays the same 3 minutes until a roommate quietly loses their mind. You are someone who processes emotion through sound. And that is a quiet kind of intelligence, not a malfunction. While other people push a feeling down and call it moving on, you found a way to let the feeling finish. You hand it to a song. You let the song hold it in a shape you can survive. And you stay there, on repeat, until it has nothing left to say to you. That is not avoidance. It is the opposite of avoidance. It is choosing to feel something all the way through. There is a line between the two, and it is worth naming. Looping a song to stay inside a feeling and move through it is healing. Looping it to hide inside a feeling forever, to keep from stepping back into your life, is something else. The repeat button can be a room you heal in or a room you hide in. You usually know which one it is. And most of the time, for most people, it is the first. So here is what I want from you. In the comments, tell me the song. The one you wore out this year and what it was quietly holding for you. I read them. And there is something strangely beautiful about seeing 100 different songs all doing the same gentle work. And the next time someone asks how you are not sick of it yet, you do not have to explain yourself. You are not stuck on a loop. You are just sitting with something, in the one room where it is allowed to be felt, until you are ready to walk out. Subscribe to keep decoding yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.